Okay, here we are, cold and dark in the Quality Wings 787. I'll go through startup, load up the flight plan, taxi, take off, and get the autopilot engaged. So the 787, we'll start off by turning on the battery. It's a notoriously heavy plane on the battery because it has a lot of electrical systems, so you usually need to get power on it pretty quick or you'll drain the battery. So we'll start off by getting the battery on. Make sure our taxi light is off. Get our nav lights on and our beacon off. And you can kind of hear some of the fans and stuff running in the background while the plane starts to power up, and we'll start to get some power on the displays here in about, it usually takes about 90 seconds or so. Get the park and brake on. We're here at Seattle, at the B terminal, and flight plan will be to Denver. So we're just waiting for the power to start to come onto the plane. Then we'll hook up external power. So there you can see some things are lighting up. I've already got the park and brake on. I'll use the Quality Wings pop up here. I'll go ahead and open up a couple doors. Turn on external power, which you can hear. And you'll see external power is now available. So if I click one of these will both come on. We can hear external power come onto the plane. So these generators are all on right now. The switches are on. They're off because the generators aren't running, but since the switches are on, they'll automatically start working as soon as the generators come online. Power on. Turn on all the window heat. Set to armed. Close the switch. Hydraulics all off. Get the seatbelt sign on. Those are set to normal. These are all the fuel pumps. We won't change anything there for now. Our lights are properly set. Turn on the bulk. Turn on the humidifier. We can turn on all the air conditioning because it's all electric in this plane. So you can hear the packs coming on. Set our pressurization to automatic. And that stuff's all good. So you can see we've got all of our displays coming up. And we have our FCU down here, FMC. So I'll go ahead and use the EFB electronic flight bag to configure the airplane. So I'll pop over here and we'll go into the dispatch. From my flight plan, it's about 42,000 pounds of fuel to get to Denver. So I'll go in here to the fuel weight. 42,000 pounds. And you'll see it distributed automatically in between the wing tanks. That's not enough fuel to need center fuel, so the center fuel tank is empty. Zero fuel weight, it's going to be about 360,000 pounds. And you see that created some passengers and then distributed some cargo. Set that payload, and set that fuel. So now you'll see, we go into our systems here, go to fuel, see sure enough we got 42,000 pounds of fuel, and it also reads out right there 42,000 pounds of fuel. And there's our gross weight, 360,000, zero fuel weight plus about 40,000 fuel, so that all makes sense. Go ahead and pop the ICAS over here. So we'll get the INSs up and running now. So I'll go over here and turn each one of these on. Come down here for position initialization. Take the GPS position and copy it in there. It's sort of a formality, really. This add-on sort of instantly aligns the INSs, so it's not that big a deal. That's what you do in the real plane. Our reference airport is SeaTac. I'll put that in there. The gate doesn't matter. Go ahead and put in KSEA again. Going to Denver.
Pre-flight checklist.
Pilot is called for the pre-flight checklist, so we can bring up the checklist over here. Check the oxygen, that's over on the left side. It doesn't really operate, so we'll say we checked it. Instruments, 075, 075, 2992, 460 feet, that all makes sense. Parking brake is already set. Fuel control switches are on cutoff. Pre-flight checklist complete. KLM521 is our flight number, which you can see is right here. And now I can request my flight plan. See, we have a Seattle to Denver flight plan right there. So I'll pop that in, activate it, and execute it. And most likely we'll take
Ladies and gentlemen,
runway
pre-flight checklist.
This flight. May we remind you that all seat backs and tray tables need to be in the upright
right in
position.
there.
All carry-on items brought on board must be securely stowed either under the seat in front of you or in an overhead bin. Prior to pushback from the gate, please ensure that your seatbelt is securely fastened. Personal cellular telephones may be used while parked at the gate with the main cabin door open. We will advise you when they must be turned on. For customers seated in a row of seats identified by the words, "No children this row," please review the white safety card in the seat pocket in front of you. The use of some portable electronic devices is prohibited while on board the aircraft. Once airborne, you will be advised when the use of approved devices such as personal computers and compact disc players is permitted. A complete list of approved devices may be found in the magazine.
The flight plan, our cruise altitude is going to be 390. So I'll put that in. I'll put in 30 for cost index, 10 for fuel reserves, and for the thrust limiter, we'll go back to the electronics flight bag over here. I'll go to the performance tab, and I'll copy the FMC data in. 34 right, KSEA, and set this to optimum, It's dry, the temperature is correct, the pressure is correct, so given all that, we'll hit calculate, It figures that we should use 5 degrees of flaps. These are our V speeds. Correct runway, correct gross weight, thrust. N1's going to be 88%. So that all looks good. So let's send to output, send to FMC, complete. And so now you'll see we have all of that information is in there. So I can accept it and execute. You see that our takeoff trim should be 4. So happens it's already set to 4, so our takeoff trim is good. These are the legs from the flight plan that we loaded in. We don't have a departure out of SeaTac, but into Denver. We'll be flying in on the French 3, Guido transition. Execute that. And if we go to flight plan right here, we're in legs down here, and we get the step button. We can step through our flight plan. It goes. It shows the approach into Denver. Next will be our before starting checklist. So before we're ready to start the engine, we should get the APU on. Take that to start, and you'll see as soon as that APU is started, this pressure light went off because it automatically turns on the pump because the fuel for the APU comes out of this tank. In fact, if we go down here to our systems, here on the status, you can see the APU is coming up. So it's in the progress of starting. We go over to fuel, you see the APU is fueled out of that tank. Go to electric, you see that our buses are powered by external power. Once the APU generators come on, then the APU generator will be providing power. You can see we have those 2 doors open. So we'll just wait for our APU to come up. Okay, so APU started now. And we'll see if we go to electric. See, sure enough, we now have the APU providing power. So that means that we can turn off the external power and use our APU power, and then we'll be able to start the engines. So I'll pop out here, kill the external power. Let's go ahead and close these doors.
Before start checklist.
See, those are closing.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just closed
Before
the
starting
main cabin
checklist.
door. All personal cellular telephones must be turned off and
Closed.
stowed for the duration
Passenger
of the
signs are
flight.
already on.
All right, it'll be a left
Flight
seat
attendants,
takeoff.
prepare doors for
Taxi
departure,
route is per
cross
ATC
check, and
instructions.
verify
Standard
straps.
reject procedures. Will depart via the SID, climb to initial altitude. In the event of an emergency return, we'll coordinate with ATC. You'll fly the airplane out on the checklist and coordinate with the air traffic control company and the flight attendants. Any questions?
No questions. So that's the taxi and takeoff briefing. Let's call clearance. Get our clearance.
KLM 521 Heavy, IFR to Denver, ready to dock. KLM 521 Heavy, cleared to Denver.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you aboard this flight on the Dreamliner. At this time, I'd like to direct your attention to the flight attendants while we review safety information about the 787. Your seatbelt should be fastened at this time. It is our policy that you keep your
We'll be
seatbelt
climbing to
fastened at all times
9,000.
while seated. The 8 exits on the 787 are marked with exit signs. Please locate the 2 exits nearest you, keeping in mind the nearest exits may be behind you. This aircraft has escape path
340
light
will
on
be
a
the
change
heading.
of color or an exit sign will indicate you have reached an exit. Should oxygen be needed, mask will appear from the compartment above your seat. If you're traveling with someone needing assistance,
148
put on
is
your
our
mask
speed.
first and then offer assistance.
Let's put
Your
148
life
in
vest is
here.
located in a container beneath or in some cases between your seat. If needed, inflate the vest just prior to exiting the
40,
aircraft by
9,000.
pulling the red tab on the
Turn on our
front
flight
vest.
directors.
A safety information card with more detailed
auto
instructions
throttles
regarding this aircraft is in your seat
on
pocket.
LNAV and VNAV.
This is a non-smoking flight.
So now
Smoking
we'll be
is
ready
not
to hit
allowed in the cabin
autopilot
or lavatories.
once we have
All
enough
lavatories
altitude.
are equipped with smoke detection
Doors are all
systems, and
closed.
federal law prohibits tampering with, disabling, or destroying these systems.
Okay, everything's
As we get ready for
set up
takeoff, please help us
for
prepare the cabin
autopilot.
by making
So
sure
our
all
MCP
carry-on
is
baggage
now
is
all
stowed,
programmed.
all seat backs and tray tables are upright,
Takeoff
headrests are
speeds
lowered,
are
and
set.
footrest and video monitors are stowed.
CD pre-flight is
Customers are required
completed.
to observe all posted and lighted information signs and
So
adhere
we're
to
getting
crew
ready to
members'
start
instructions.
our
Thank you for
engines.
choosing to fly with us. We will be
So
airborne
we'll turn
shortly.
on the beacon to let the ground folks know that we're getting ready to start the engines. Okay, checklist complete. Okay, before we start the engines, we need to get the hydraulics and the fuel set up. Correct way to do this is in order and allowing each one to clear before you go to the next one, so you don't put too much of a demand on the plane, on their systems. So that one. And this one. Auto. And auto. These should both be set to on, so they'll automatically come on when the engines come on. We'll get the fuel pumps on, including the one that's on the tank for the APU. Make sure you turn it on manually anyway. These are not on because, if you remember, we didn't have any fuel in the center fuel tanks, so we didn't need it. And with that, we are ready to start the engines. And we can start them both at the same time. So basically what we'll do, these are the fuel control knobs. So
Okay, starting engines.
starting the one on the right. Power it up. You'll see it's starting. Okay, looks like it's starting all right, so let's go ahead and start the next one. You can watch our fuel, watch our engine start up here. Fuel pumps are on. You can see the electric generators from the right engine are now powering the buses. This engine's running.
Before taxi checklist.
Here's that generator. Engine anti-ice, and we have almost set to auto. There's no icing conditions, so that's fine. Get our recall here. No messages. That's good. Projected takeoff. Check our flight controls. Elevator. Ailerons. See the spoilers work with them. Rudder. Working good. Put my parking brake back on. And I took it off to check the rudder. So flight controls are checked. Ground equipment is all clear. But now we get the motor running, let's go ahead and turn off the APU. Lights here, I'm putting progress here. Request taxi.
KLM 521 Heavy with Kilo, ready to taxi IFR. KLM 521 Heavy, taxi to and hold short of runway 34, right using taxiway Bravo. Contact tower on 119er.9er when ready.
Okay, 3-4 right. Let's get our taxi light on. Acknowledge our clearance.
Short runway 34, right using taxiway Bravo. KLM 521 Heavy.
push back. Get our park and brake off. You can see the plane is backing out. You can see what our taxi path is going to be over there to 348. Turn on our runway turn-off lights. And you can see those lights are on as well as our taxi light. Request the end to push back. It's all clear. Four taxi checks completed. That's the flight director, showing the flight director's on. See, our runway heading is going to be that way, so it's a pretty good right turn once we take off to get on course. So before takeoff, checklist is just the flaps, so we need to get those to 5. So that's 1. That's 5. So you can see they're coming down. Okay, flaps are good for takeoff. This is a powerful plane, so it's just picking up speed even in idle here on the ground, so just have to use brakes to keep it under control.
Before takeoff checklist.
Before takeoff checklist is complete.
Please be seated for departure.
Approaching the end of the runway. Switch over to tower. Let's take off clearance.
KLM 521 heavy at runway 34 right, ready for takeoff by Edward Stanford. KLM 521 heavy cleared for takeoff. Runway 34 right.
Cleared for takeoff. Winds are calm.
KLM 521
Runway verified.
Hear my last transmission.
Acknowledge my takeoff
Runway
clearance.
34 right. KLM 521 heavy.
Okay, we're all lined up on center line. Flaps are good. Brakes good. Okay, we're gonna push the engines up. Alright, set takeoff power.
Check thrust. Thrust set. $80 knots.
Checked.
B1.
Rotate. B2. Positive rate.
Gear up.
KLM 521 Heavy. Contact Seattle departure on 120.1.
Starting my right turn.
Going to 120.1. KLM 521 Heavy.
The autopilot on.
Autopilot on.
Autopilot in command.
Seattle departure KLM 521 Heavy. Descent 2,300. Climbing 900,000. KLM 521 Heavy. Seattle departure. Roger. Altimeter 2,900.
Flaps 1.
Flaps 1.
521 Heavy. Turn right heading 160. Speed on course 900,000. Turn right heading 160. Resume on navigation.
Flaps up.
900,000.
Flaps up.
KLM 521 Heavy.
See, our target speed is 250 because we're below 10,000.
With our flight underway, I'd like to once again welcome you aboard. I'd also like to offer a special welcome to our Quality Club flyers. You will be earning valuable miles on your flight today. If you're not a member, please visit us at qwingsim.com. In just a few minutes, we will be beginning our complimentary meal and beverage service in both first class and coach. In
After
coach,
takeoff
beer,
checklist?
wine, and margaritas can be purchased with
After
the debit
takeoff
or credit
checklist,
card.
landing gears
We
up,
apologize
flaps
if
up.
we do not accept cash.
After takeoff checklist.
In-flight entertainment available on this aircraft includes audio and video on demand as well as Wi-Fi, all included free of charge. The flight attendant will be coming through the aisles with complimentary headsets. Now we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight.
Maintaining around 250. It's increasing the rate of climb. Maintain that speed while keeping a continuous N1. Your typical airline kind of autopilot, auto throttle behavior.
KLM 521 Heavy. Contact Seattle Center on 128.5.
Seattle Center.
128.5 for KLM 521
It's the altitude
Heavy.
alarm.
Seattle departure KLM 521 Heavy. Descent 8,500. Climbing 900,000. KLM 521 Heavy. Seattle departure. Roger. Altimeter 2,992.
2992 set.
KLM 521 Heavy. Flight speed. Flight level 190.
Up to 190. Set that right there.
Climb and maintain. Flight level 190.
You see it starts to climb. I didn't do anything else. All I did was change the value. Power comes back up to the climb setting.
Contact Seattle Center on 128.5.
Continue 250. Acknowledge the handoff.
128.5. KLM
When we pass 10,000 here, you'll see our target airspeed will jump. So nose comes down, keep the same power settings, accelerate to 311 knots. Contact Seattle.
KLM 521 Heavy is climbing
Your lights off.
0,400 for flight level 190. KLM 521 Heavy. Seattle Center. Roger. Altimeter 2,992.
It's not changes whether altitude changes by hundreds or thousands. And now pretty much we're just gonna climb up to cruise altitude. So I think that's pretty much it for this video.